Hey guys, today we are talking about the Dermablend Professional Smooth Liquid Camo Medium Coverage Foundation. This is a foundation that has SPF 25 in it, and it is advertised as being a hydrating foundation, good for dry skin. I have oily skin, as you guys know, but in the winter months, my skin does kind of tilt towards the dry side, as many of ours do. So whether you naturally have dry skin or you're just finding yourself in the heart of winter and you're looking for a hydrating foundation, that is why I wanted to launch January with a wear test of this product. You guys know how this works. I have pre-recorded the wear test with timestamps, and I'm going to walk through that with you here in just a second. And then at the end of that, I'm going to give you guys my final thoughts as well as some comparisons to other foundations in the same price range. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. To start, as always, I'm letting you know what I've prepped my face with. This is my combo of my Paula's Choice Tinted Sunscreen and the By Terry Cellular Rose CC Serum in the color Apricot. That's always the duo I put on my face before going in with foundation. So here we go with the foundation. I purchased shade 25N, and let's do our texture test. So a little bit on the back of my hand, about the same amount as I would go in with any other foundation. It felt a little bit light, not liquidy. You can see it's not running down the back of my hand, but not as thick as a fuller coverage foundation. So going in with the same brush and the same technique for application as always, you can see kind of here right away that the 25N, which is advertised as a neutral shade, is pulling a little bit yellow on me. I've never actually had that happen before when I've purchased a foundation in the neutral color spectrum as opposed to going cool or warm. But because I've got a sunless tan on, I think it actually is going to work out okay for me in terms of color match. So I spent a long time trying to blend this foundation in, and I just found that no matter how I tapped it in, blended it in, stippled it in, I was having a really hard time getting it to blend out. I only did one half of my face and had to go in with another pump of the foundation, which with my other foundations I don't typically have to do. So this was kind of just an excruciatingly long process trying to get even coverage that wasn't clinging to dry spots, that was blending out nice and evenly. You can see here that's how much I had left when I was done. So overall about a pump and a half. And I noticed right away it was clinging to some of my dry patches. I've already got some because we've had a cold snap here in Columbus in the last week or so. I find it clinging to my dry spots. It still doesn't look evenly blended to me, but here's the timestamp. I had done what I could, so at 1:10 we called it quits, and I did finish my makeup here as well for the day. I only put on bronzer in terms of face makeup. I will link everything that I used for my look in the description box below for you. So 3 hours later, I came back for a check-in. Here I'm always testing for oiliness, how is the oil control, and since this was supposed to be a hydrating foundation, how is that holding up? And what you can see here is I'm seeing a lot of my pores and I'm seeing a lot of unevenness in coverage. And as you saw with all the blending I was doing, that level of unevenness I really wasn't anticipating. So I went in with an oil blot sheet, as I always do at the 3 hour mark, and it actually wasn't too bad, which surprised me because it is a hydrating foundation and I have oily skin. So 3.5 hours or so after that, just before 8 o'clock, I'm really noticing at this point it's clinging to my fine lines, it's clinging to my pores, and honestly I just felt like my skin didn't look that good in it. The oil control was definitely becoming a thing here as well, that thing when you tap your face and you can kind of feel the residue coming off on your fingertip. That is what we had going on at this check-in here. So there's kind of the step back look. You can see I'm starting to lose the oil control in the T-zone there as well, getting a little bit shiny. Stepping back away from the camera, maybe it's not quite as obvious how uneven that coverage is, but I still wasn't thrilled. So by 2.5 hours after that, I was pretty much fed up. I just thought that my skin looked horrible with this foundation on. So I did one last check-in here showing you guys up close where it's worn off, how it's looking against my pores, and just overall not really happy with it. And to be honest with you, I could not wait to wash this off of my face after doing this final check-in. So this was kind of a bummer for me. It's been a while since I've tested a foundation for you guys that I really just didn't have anything redeeming to say about. Ultimately, for me, if you're going to wear foundation, it should do something to improve the look of your skin. Even really full coverage foundations like the Il Makiage After Party foundation that I reviewed for you guys recently, that is way more full coverage than something I would typically wear for my usual sort of skinimalist approach to foundation. But that said, that was a full coverage foundation, which yes, it was full coverage. You could tell that there was makeup on your skin, but if you watch that review, the reason I kept waffling back and forth on it was when I saw myself on camera and in the mirror, I felt like my skin looked really good, even though it definitely was a heavy makeup look. This foundation, for being a medium coverage foundation especially, I did not think it made my skin look good. In addition to that, being advertised as a hydrating foundation and the fact that right away I couldn't get it to blend out and it was clinging to my dry patches, that didn't make me want to wear it. And especially as somebody with oily skin, hi baby, especially as somebody with oily skin, I was actually anticipating more of an oil control issue than a dryness issue with this foundation. So bottom line is that for me, this foundation just didn't agree with my skin. That is not to say that it wouldn't agree with somebody else's skin, somebody who maybe has naturally dry skin, but for me, this just was a no-go. So the price of this foundation is $37 US, and $37, that kind of like mid-30s range, is a funky price point for foundations. Other good foundations that are in that price range by other brands, I would definitely recommend checking out Clinique. Theirs tend to be in the mid to low 30s range, and they are great foundations, and they definitely range from light coverage to full coverage, so you can certainly find something there. If you're looking to spend a little bit less than that, I recently purchased a full face of makeup by the company Inglot. This is their YSM cream foundation. This is only $20, and I think it performs better than the Dermablend. On the other end of the spectrum, my gold standard foundation, which I talked about in my Beauty to Beat for 2021 video, is still the Lancome Tinted Ultra Wear. This is $47 US, so it's $10 more than the Dermablend, but if you're willing to make that investment, this is a medium coverage foundation that I have worn regularly for over a year, and it's still my gold standard. So that little extra investment could very much be worth it for you. So I hope that you guys found this video helpful. If you have had a different experience with the Dermablend, I would really love to hear about it. It's, like I said, unusual for me to not really have anything redeeming to say about a foundation that I try. So if you've tried it and you've liked it, let me know in the comments about your experience. I'd be curious to hear. So as always, thank you guys so much for your viewership. Happy New Year, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.